Alright guys, Bill, I'm here back with more NieR Automata that I can continue on. It is the next morning. It's 11 a.m. A little past 11 a.m. 11:17. But I kind of want to finish the game today if I can. I am going to be working on my Winning Final Tribal Council video and my actually let's just start playing the game. Obviously we're continuing on for a little off last time. Yeah, I want to finish my Final Tribal Council video. I also want to watch a couple things today, but outside I also want to just finish NieR Automata here, because that'll allow me to have time to write the script for it on Thursday, which at that point the plan would be to record it on Friday. So hopefully that all works out. We'll see. I do get fair, even if I don't finish the game by then, I could still do that. And like either way, like I should be able to. Like even if we don't finish it today, like I'll still have time on Thursday to play it. And I can finish it then. So either way. But I would like to finish it today just to kind of get it out of the way. And that would give me a bit more time to write it on Thursday.
Areas where rigid tree bark is available, marked on map.
God damn it.
Analysis.
Where are we going?
Hostility toward the peaceful machine lifeform Pascal is pointless from an energy usage standpoint. Proposal. Form a friendly relationship immediately.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, let's listen to RGP.
Talk in a more private setting about, like, damn it, like, these people are playing better than me. Like, I'm just getting outplayed right now. I think primarily her thought, which is being encouraged by a lot of her allies, is he's not going to be doing this alone. Like, somebody must have gotten in his ear. She feels like he was loyal, and then he would not be doing this unless somebody was in his ear trying to make him do this. She ultimately feels like it's Sarah Beth and Kylan who have made this move, because they're the people who had dirt, and she has always felt like Kylan is
that at?
the person. And she's right. I mean, not like less Sarah Beth, but specifically, yes, Kylan is the one that got in Derek's ear last week and encouraged him on this to go on this path. Like, she's correct. She's more correct than the people who are saying no. It's just that he has backing. I personally did not get the vibe specifically to when she was talking to Derek that she was trying to insult his intelligence or anything. I think specifically she's just looking for I thought I had a read on him. Why isn't that read correct? My read on Kylan might be right, and she's mostly right in that sense.
I can see it from that way. Just from just watching, I just was like, wait, give him some credit here. But she probably was kind of figuring out how it was all working, and from my perspective, it just seemed like she didn't think that it was possible for him to come up with something like this.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's gonna go up and talk with Christian, Claire, and X, who have been busy freaking out a little bit about Kristen's like, I'm not feeling good, and they're talking about, like, would I have the votes to stay if I go up on the block? I don't know. Tiffany, by the way, also joined the conversation downstairs with Derek, SV, and Alyssa, but she was mostly trying to maintain neutrality as much as possible in that conversation. Claire upstairs is doing her best to be like, oh, what? No. Oh, crap, what's happening? Playing it off pretty well. When Alyssa joins them, she says, look, it's not looking good. I was just downstairs, and Derek is like, it looks like he's about to cry, considering he's putting up Christian. He's like, he's gonna do it. He's like, it's definitely possible. Oh man, Carlin must have gotten his ear. He must have made this happen. And Christian's just like, I should have taken him out last week. Damn it! I had it. I had the veto. I could have. Oh my god.
like, if it was next week, it's very clear that he
There's
has
gonna be a
that
perfect
power
time. It's just
to
whether or
do
not you
that.
can make it.
So
Make the
sucks
move at the
that
perfect
Christian did
time.
have the power, and if he wasn't to make a big move for himself, like that wasn't the time to do it, if that was the one that was taking care of. So I feel a little bit bad that, he went against his own instincts to like not maybe target Derek. Last week he was just kind of everyone saying like, no, let's do this, let's do something for the house, and he should have just been playing for himself a little bit more if that's something that he really wanted to do.
Yes, Christian feeling like he should have taken the shot last week is going to bring us to the veto ceremony, where Brittany does use the veto on herself, and Christian does go up as the replacement nominee. Backdoor. Post-ceremony, the beats come back to a lot of fallout here, a lot of different conversations happening at once, which I will do my best to consolidate. But a lot of talk between Alyssa, Christian, and Xavier, feeling like we figured it out. Sarah Beth did this, right? Sarah Beth is the one that ratted us out to Derek and said that we were coming for Derek. And she plotted this. She made this happen with Kylan.
What's the actual goal right now?
They plotted this whole thing. But how did they find out? How did Sarah Beth know, or how did Derek know that we were going to flip the vote on Sarah Beth? How did she find that out? Well, man, was it because we told Big D that he was good? Did Big D ruin this for us? Could it have been the Queens? This is concerning. It's Kylan. Kylan's just behind it all. And Xavier and SB keep trying to say, look, maybe he wouldn't have come up with this on his own.
I think it is up here.
At the very least, he would not do this without backing, without support. And they're both trying to lead Christian and Alyssa toward the Queens and throw the Queens under the bus. Xavier in particular is really trying to push them to see that the Queens are backing Derek X in this move. And they do go if backing, who could possibly be backing them? The Queens? Could the Queens be backing them? And they start to go down that path, but they don't really follow it because they're too concerned with their immediate concerns at the time. They're worried about this whole situation.
I mean, of course they're going to be worried about the situation, because I think that they felt pretty comfortable, especially with what they had set up with the Royal Flush, and they didn't really think that they were going to be dealing with this until at least next week. And so I can understand them being really nervous, not knowing who they can trust, not knowing who they can actually talk to, who they can count on, and especially since they did put a lot of faith in Derek X, and he put them up. He put up Christian, and so I would definitely be scrambling if I was in their position, being like, whoa, what do we do? Who do we do it with? How do we make this stop?
Yeah. So a lot of things are happening in this moment, right? Claire and Tiffany are having to sort of ride this line of, we are now going to be voting Christian out, but he's expecting our support, and did we know about this, and who's told Derek about some of these things that he knows, and why has this move happened, and why does he feel comfortable making this move unless he has backing, and will they get caught? And there's also Xavier, who is still very frustrated with this move, trying to sort of lash out at the Queens and put some blame on them, and still trying to make it work to potentially keep Christian around if possible, but maybe doing a little bit of damage to his game in the process if he's not careful. You've got Christian, who's obviously fighting for his life, but even just Alyssa, who is now going to have to figure out where she goes from here. How hard is she going to fight for Christian, and how is she going to fight for Christian? You've got Derek, who has now made this move, and has a huge target on his back now, definitely the biggest threat in the house. You've got Hannah trying to continue to play her middle sort of card here, as she still kind of wants Sarah Beth out. She's still concerned about Sarah Beth, feels like Sarah Beth might put her on the block. Sarah Beth is still trying to not get caught of being in her role involved in all of this stuff. They're starting to blame her and Kylan, who's in trouble. You've got the Jokers, who are now going to have to figure out, what do we tell Christian and Alyssa about our votes? What are we going to do with our votes? The house is on fire right now.
The house is definitely on fire. And one thing with like Xavier.
When the fuck
I'm not
has
sure if this, like, was
A2 come
his
off as a
thought
character
process
that's
for the
thankful
rest
for
of
whatever?
the evening, is that he doesn't want to be pushing for one person or the other person, and I actually think that that's a really bad move for his game. Not necessarily that he should be pushing for somebody, but I think that he regrets that someone's going to be staying in the house, and I think he wants to throw a vote for them instead, just to like be like, you
Fuck
know,
off.
I want to give a sympathy vote for, I guess, Christian in this case. But I don't know, I feel like Xavier's not handling this the best with it being a King's member, and I feel that he
Hostile
might
machine
be doing a lot more
life forms
damage
detected.
in playing neutral role in this situation, because someone's going to be staying and be like, well, you didn't even care if I stayed, and so I think that he's playing it worse than I do.
Xavier is fighting a losing battle here, trying to keep the Kings together. Sarabeth and Christian are on the block now, and they will be campaigning against each other. And Xavier basically lets Sarabeth know that you might have to vote and campaign for Christian to stay, but that doesn't mean that they should split up, because that's what they want. We're not going to split up just because of what they want, right? He points out that, like, that Derek is trying to split us up by putting two of us on the block. It's devious. It's a mastermind plan.
It's
But
so
we're not going to fall for it, right? We're gonna stick together, even though maybe we might have to vote against each other, you know, here or there. Sarah Beth, please don't be mad at me when I vote to keep Christian.
Exactly. So I'm just kind of like, okay, it's not really that masterful of a plan. I would think it's pretty standard that like someone's gonna go after the biggest target in the house, especially if they have three other players working with them to stay in the game. So it's just like it seems a little bit obvious for him to be like, I can't believe that they concocted this plan that's going to make us divide and make us not want to work together. And I'm like, well, it's pretty obvious that's what they're gonna do. You should pick a side and go with it and just be like, hey, sorry, Christian, I think I have to go to the house with the numbers here. Be like, Sarah Beth, I'm running this with you. Like, let's take care of it. Probably the angle I'd have to take.
Christian goes up to Derek in the bathroom, and he's just like, so Sarah Beth told you, right, that we were coming for you? She told you. And Derek's just like, yeah, it was Sarah Beth. Don't you know? This was her plan. This was whole thing. We're each other's shields, dude. She told you? I'm telling you, man, this is what she does. You can't listen to her. And Derek eventually just like, I'm not gonna confirm or deny anything at this point. Basically, like, I don't want to actively lie and claim that Sarah Beth told me this because, I don't want to be blamed for that. But if you want to believe that Sarah Beth told me this, then that's great. Please go ahead and continue to believe so.
Exactly. He's just kind of like, I just want to be absolved of any of this information that's going out, because he stopped really saying who told him information. Pretty much at this point, it's just like, somebody told me. I can't say who. I have to ask them if they're okay with me saying who. So yeah, he's having a little bit of trouble, keeping the story straight, but then not outing any of his sources.
So Christian and Alyssa are going to talk a bit as well. He's going to
What's the actual name of that right now?
taken him out last week. And Alyssa's just like, it's okay. You can't dwell on the past. It's what's done is done at this point. And there's an implicit amount of, I think, just a small amount of blame probably that is implied in this. I should have taken him out because he suggested it and she shot the idea down. I think they're both aware of that, but neither of them have really acknowledged it. He says, man, I trusted him. I mean, I didn't trust him and I still kept him. And this is what I tweeted, but that was the problem, Christian, is that you didn't trust him and you didn't make the move. And the problem is not that you didn't make the move. The problem is that because you didn't trust him, didn't spend any time with him, didn't hang out with him. You thought that you could just let Alyssa broker a deal with him, wouldn't have to speak with him basically at all, and that he would then be loyal to you moving forward in this game, and that you could ride it out together for a few more weeks before you eventually did take the shot at him when it was more convenient to you. But that's not how it works. You need to put in the work yourself. If you don't want somebody to feel good with you and not come after you because you're a threat, then you need to spend time with them, develop a relationship with them. You can't just feel yeah, it's fine. He's not gonna come for me. And then when he does, be like, damn it, I knew I should have taken the shot. No, you didn't need to take the shot. Taking the shot would have been pretty bad for your game too, because lots of other people still would have been coming for you this week. And maybe you wouldn't have gone this week because maybe Alyssa would have won this competition, or Xavier would have won this competition, or whatever, and then you would have been safe this week, and maybe your game, yes, I mean, taking the shot at Derek certainly at this point would have been better than not taking the shot at Derek, but the even better move would have just been to get out of bed with Alyssa for more than 5 minutes and hang out with Derek X, the person that is your biggest threat and competition that you're not taking a shot at because you want to work with him for at least a couple more weeks.
Oh my god, exactly. And, you know, people really get vibes and feelings. And even if he doesn't, you know, actively show Derek X that he doesn't trust him, like, people get that vibe, especially from the things that you're saying. If he's not friendly,
oh, is this where the village gets attacked?
Building a relationship,
I remember now that.
Feel like he's good with you, which he wasn't. He wasn't really good with him. He was convinced to keep him, and that means that I'm sure that Derek X was feeling that to a certain extent. It might not have been glaringly obvious, but like, if someone doesn't like you, you usually know it deep down, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps, Kylan, he got in his ear, he made this happen. Yes, Kylan did do exactly that. You know why? Because Kylan spent time with Derek X last week and talked to him about strategy and convinced him to go after you. What did you do? You let Alyssa talk to Derek X about, like, oh, we should work together. And then you talk to Derek X like, did you hear what Alyssa said? Cool? Yeah, we're shields? Awesome? Great.
Are they
it's a good idea, but it's kind of junior in the gameplay that's been going on this season. You know, like, you really have to put in some work if you want your agenda to be pushed. And I think that, you know, he had 2 weeks of safety, or he was the head of household the week before he had safety. Like, he felt pretty confident, pretty good. I think that he doesn't realize how much work it actually goes into staying safe in the house.
Especially considering he nominated Hannah with zero, like, input from Derek that week. Like, his actions were terrible, and he didn't even follow up and try, like, actively work on the relationship beyond that, just generic deal, right? So, again, the move, it's not that you didn't make the move, it's that you didn't develop the relationship, you know, that made the move necessary. Alright, so Alyssa tells him that she thinks that he should reveal the royal flush to the Jokers. That if they do that, then maybe the Jokers will feel like, okay, the queens are not with us, we need to work, we need to do something in this game to keep Christian. I actually think this is a really good play by Alyssa and Christian. I do think that the Jokers would be a little bit upset here. Now, this is one of those things where it's like,
I doubt it's gonna let me.
okay, so the royal flush was a thing, but clearly not anymore, considering you're on the block. So it usually doesn't work out in that way, but it should at the very least shake the Jokers into realizing that they have zero agency in this game, and that this is an opportunity for them to gain some agency in this game. So how the vote is going to shake out here is that there are 9 votes, and you need 5 to stay. Derek X has Claire, Tiffany, Hannah, and Kylan locked in. They are all going to be voting for Christian to go. And Christian has Xavier and Alyssa locked in, which means that the 3 Jokers are ultimately the votes that decide the day here. If they got together and decided that they wanted Christian to stay, then Christian would stay. And Christian and Alyssa realized this, that they don't even need the queens, and so why don't we just throw the queens under the bus and go for the jokers? Now, that's not the ideal play, because if they throw the queens' votes away for no reason and they can only get 2 of the 3 jokers, now they're screwed, whereas before they could have been fine. So they want to be careful with this, but it's a play that they could make, and I think ultimately it would be their best play here, because
Shit.
there is reason
Damn it.
for the jokers to make this play. I think it's actually their best call. And, for the jokers, they, again, have 0 agency in this game. If they voted to keep Christian, sorry, Cookout, but neither of these people are in the Cookout. We don't, this is not going against the Cookout. This is you guys making Brittany go up on the block instead of whoever else on your team. This is that we want to keep Christian around because we think it's better for the Cookout overall. Have Christian and Derek X fight it out. That's great for the Cookout. Why are we taking out Christian when, that's not good for the Cookout? Sarah Beth has talked about nominating members of the Cookout. Christian wouldn't do that. Christian is gunning for Derek X now. Christian is gunning for Sarah Beth now. There's plenty of reason for the Cookout to get rid of Christian here. Or keep Christian here.
What happened?
So it's not a betrayal in that sense, and it puts the jokers in the power position where now there's 0. If the jokers kept Christian would of course be grateful to the jokers because they just saved him, and he would absolutely not only be grateful to them, but would be loyal to them, because why wouldn't you be? If you're Christian and Alyssa, you're like, of course I'd go to the final 5 even with the jokers. Come on. I don't need the queens anymore. Let's go. This is absolutely, it's honestly a no-brainer for the jokers. But as we will see, it is a brainer no when it comes to how they're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, if they were propositioning this to the queens, and it was kind of a little bit reverse situation, I think that the queens would be able to discuss it and realize, this might be our best play. But, the jokers, none of them want to do anything, it seems. Oz is just I just don't want to lie to anybody, and I want to go with the house, and, they don't even realize that, they are the house. They are deciding what happens in the house. They actually, as you're saying, have all the power, but I don't think that they want it. And Brittany also, she is worried about Christian as a competition piece, and I think the fact that she was pulled into the plan and she kind of knew what was going on.
What the fuck?
Christian was up there. I think that she feels a little bit of a loyalty to Derek X, and for the fact that she was part of the backdoor plan. She was part of this, so I think that it's going to be harder to turn, especially those two at this point. So it's a little bit too late.
Yes. So there. It honestly, it reminds me a lot of when Arlie was on the block for the candidate too, where it's just you have essentially the queens plus Derek X convincing the jokers, nah, it's in your best interest to take out our big threat for us, even though you have control of the votes right now, and the gremlins of the season are sure, yeah, you're right, that is the biggest threat, we should definitely do this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember that season as well as you seem to. I'm the gremlins, who's that? That was Raquel? Anyways, I'm who are these people again? But
good TV.
Along with
good, oh yeah,
Sabrina.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of hard though when people haven't had any power and don't really seem to want to steer the game in their direction. They kind of all seem to just want to go with the flow. They don't want to make that many waves. They don't want to lie. They don't want to. They don't have the immediate power that's really obvious, like the head of household. So I don't think that they have any power here. And so I just think that they're the wrong gaming people to be proposing this idea to kind of take control and flip this vote.
They say, okay, well, we can also tell Hannah about the royal flush. Maybe that will help in Hannah's vote. We know Hannah wants Sarah Beth out. But then Alyssa's but you know what? Derek probably already told her about the royal flush, just like you told me about the butchers. what about the butchers? Could we talk about the butchers? And so they're still brainstorming over here. In the meantime, Xavier is going to be talking with Tiffany. Still pouting a little bit. He doesn't understand why Kylan is getting to keep both SB and Derek, and I have to lose my strong person. Why doesn't Kylan have to lose his strong person? Derek needs to go. And Tiffany's like, Derek's not even Kylan's person. He's Hannah's person. He trusts Hannah more than Kylan. Xavier disagrees. She says, look, even if that was the case, even if Kylan had Derek, you have everyone else. He has nothing. He has Sarah Beth and Derek at best. You have me, Hannah, Claire, Ozza. Like, we're all anti-Kylan. And he's like, I don't know. I think that Kylan needs to be the first to go when we hit 6. And she's like, that's what I've been saying. And she says, I think we need to get rid of Sarah Beth. That will help get rid of Kylan's power structure. And Xavier's like, oh, I don't know.
Xavier, just lean into it. It's okay to play this game. I want to see him just, like, he's just, how I find him, he hims and haws about things and thinks a lot. And it's great, you know, he's thinking about, like, his position in the game, but I actually don't know if he has the best read on how